Welcome to Amesbury, Massachusetts for the fifth and final regular season ladder series of Classic Candlepins. He's Frank Face, I'm Kyle Bruce, and we're here to break it down to you. Frank, we have Brian Fuller Jr., who's back for his third appearance on our show, and he's looking to avenge his defeat to your guy Brian Fournier, and he threw 579 on the roll-off, and we're going to take a brief look at the man from Newburyport, Massachusetts, Brian Fuller Jr.
Yeah, this is Brian Fuller Jr., high single of 224, high triple of 474. No stranger to our show, as you mentioned, Kyle. Family of veterans to the game, and
no.
Absolute fierce competition in this match.
To quote Rich.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. The man he opposes also threw 579 on the roll-off. Brian had the higher single out of the 5 strings from each of them in that roll-off, so Brian will be the 4 seed. Our number 5 seed is from Milford, Massachusetts, Candlepin veteran Dan Gauthier.
Dan Shoe Gauthier, Kyle, as he's known in the Candlepin world. High single of 192, that was at a Pro Series event in Bayberry, Massachusetts, or Spencer, Massachusetts, rather. I remember watching him do that. And high triple of 464. Kyle, no stranger to TV. As we know, he's a former host of Candlepin for Kids, or Candlepin New Gen, and he's been on, several different Candlepin shows, including ours now. I remember particularly the Comcast show where he threw, I think, upwards of a 173 against John Zappi and lost the match.
That was the thing about that particular show and the Challengers match. The current Pro Series playoff champion, Skip Easterbrooks, suffered the same fate one time on that show. I think he threw like 160 something and had to go home early. So, well, in any event, that's the kind of experience that Dan has on television that'll should prove useful going into this first round matchup against Brian Fuller Jr. The winner will go on to face Chris Winiars next week. So it's Brian Fuller Jr. against Dan Gauthier. We'll talk to you in the post-game show.
Classic Candlepins, as we are starting the first match of our 4-match ladder series. What in blazes is happening?
A little confusion to get started.
Yes, that there is.
Yeah.
I'm here with the legendary Frank Face and Scott Moore here to kick things off as Dan Gauthier is on lane 7 here in downtown Amesbury. He has the 1, 2, 4, and 10. Both of these bowlers threw 579 in the roll-off. And because Brian had the higher of the 2 strings, he will be our 4th seed and Dan is the 5th. So that'll be an 8 box to get things started.
And Kyle, I believe that was a 138 high single to a 136.
Correct. Yes, Brian had the 138. Just missed the head pin that time. He's looking at 4 horsemen right, 1, 3, 6, and 10. Dan is carrying a league average of 113. High single of 192, and his high triple is 464 as he went outside and nearly got the 4 horsemen. And anyone who knows Candlepin bowling knows that Dan's been around a very long time. He's bowled on TV for most of his life.
Yes, and Kyle, in fact, I remember witnessing that 192 single.
Wow.
It was a Pro Series event in Spencer, Massachusetts.
Ah. How long ago was that?
I want to say it was about a year and a half. It was not the past year. It was 2013, 2014.
Oh, okay. And we're looking at Brian Fuller Jr. as he starts off with the high-low jack. Brian was in our last ladder and went to the championship match and was defeated by Brian Fournier. But he's back now. Brian with an 8 box to get things started off. course, it's well documented how Brian knows this place. He basically grew up here.
Just off the head pin there a little bit.
1, 2, 4, 7, 8. Went outside that time, but couldn't carry the 2 and 4. The owner of a 224 high single, which was, that happened here. An 8 box for Brian.
That was on these two particular lanes, wasn't it, Kyle?
I believe so, yes.
6 and 7. And he did that by starting with the
6-bagger.
6-bagger.
Yes.
Very impressive.
Yes. I don't even think I've thrown 6 strikes in my life.
It's difficult.
That it is, yes. Dan is looking at 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Outside. Nice
Oh, a
bid.
little luck coming over.
And couldn't carry the 8. Going outside that time. Dan really turns it over. Ball breaking from right to left, and 10 box. 27 after 3 for the Milford native. And a thin hit that time. 4 horsemen right plus the 5, 7, and the 9. One of the things that Dan wrote down in his bio sheet is that
Nice
he used to be pretty good, but he looks pretty good there, making that spare in the 4th.
6 pin the last to fall. Good hit though.
Big Brooklyn hit for Brian Fuller Jr., and he's got the 5-9. Yeah, this is a contrast in styles with Brian throwing the backup ball and caught the cap that time.
Just offline just a little bit.
Dan's always thrown more of a shoe, rather, as he's affectionately known within the Candlepin community. A pretty straight, traditional ball. Opposed to Fuller's backup ball.
And a punch out. Half Worcester right. Both get a lot of action, just in different ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
And very nearly a
yes,
conversion.
you got it.
Yes.
Speaking of Kyle.
Yes. Matching spares in the 4th. In this first round matchup.
I always think that one goes in the hole more often than split in the pocket.
3 the fill on that spare. Yeah, I think that's everyone has different ways of playing shots, you know. I mean, I feel like you get more action if you go outside the head pin rather than going inside. And
Yep, the ball will work on the other 2 pins. Let the pins work on each other.
right.
Tough 7 box for Dan.
And a 47.5, but he's been around a long time. He's no stranger to bowling under the lights, so he's accustomed to making those kind of adjustments.
Yes.
Brooklyn hit, light hit,
Yeah.
and has the diamond right plus the 10 pin.
Get that piece of wood in there, kind of help out there in front of the 6.
Right, so that would push into the 10 if he's on the object. And
Just missed it. It's that ball breaking again to the left. Nice 10.
10 bucks. Put Dan at 57. And Brian's back up filling his spare in the 4th. Box is completed. It's a 1 pin difference, but here's Brian's bonus. Held on to that one a little too long, but he got a break. Filling it with 7. 1, 3, 6. Went outside that time and
Just a little thin on the outside.
Yes.
Came right back. The head pin came right back between the 3 and the 6.
And that's an 8 box. Off the head pin that time, and Brian will be looking at the 1, 2, and 9, but that wood in front of the 9 is only going to help.
I like it.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely like it.
And slid by the head pin.
Brian's parents are in attendance today.
That they are, as they were in the last ladder. And a 9 box will put Brian at 60. And has a 3-pin lead after 6 in the first.
Nice ball.
Big hit. And the 6-9.
It's the 6-pin. He's got them both.
There it is.
All over it. Spare in the 7th.
Second mark for Dan here in first string. Light hit fills it with 6.
Where's Rich when you need him?
I know it.
Check mark time.
He'd be richer.
Yes, he would. Richie
Yes.
Rich.
Richie Rich.
Good chance at 2 in a row.
Oh,
And on the object.
heavy
but,
on the front.
but too heavy on it, yes.
Ooh, almost got to come back off the sidewall.
Yes.
Nice one, that goes.
So a 9 box puts Dan at 82. And Brian's back up on lane 7. Held on to it a little too long that time. On the object that time, but still 2 pins standing.
Going for the wood.
Nice bid. Score that at 9.
Good bid on that spare attempt. I feel your best shot is usually outside of the
Right.
head pin.
Trick is just being on the object.
Yes. As we've discussed before, you really have millimeters to make your
Yep.
your shots perfect.
Right.
And from a distance of 60 or more feet, it's very difficult.
Nice shot.
pickup. Not an easy spare, though. 4 horsemen plus the one on the back.
Even the horseman, but having the extra pin with the Caleri, either being the 8 or the 9.
Yeah.
Just,
A lot of times you leave either the 7 or the 10 in there.
and a split right now for Dan as he has 3, 4, 6, and 7. No wood to help.
Ooh.
Nice bid, but could not carry the 4.
That's great going in.
He kneels in disbelief.
Yes.
Yeah. All over.
And he's on the single. 92 going into the 10th.
Look a mark here.
That looked pretty good, and
There you
he
go.
broke up the split. 3, 6, 10, no wood to help.
All over it.
So 102 plus a ball here to conclude string 1 of our first round match.
Nice
Big
finish.
hit
What a finish for Dan Gauthier.
and a 110. So he averages 113. considering he had a 47 half. That's a
Nice finish.
right, a 63.
Brian filling a mark.
Just off the head pin again.
And he's got that high-low jack again, but he's got some lumber. Filling his spare with 7. Gives him the lead again after 8. A little too thin on number 1 that time.
Nice try, though. He's right in there. And almost.
$9 will put Brian at 95. But he'll need a mark if he wants to have the lead after 1. Very big hit, and there's that mark I was talking about.
Very good.
2 bonus balls coming for Brian Fuller Jr. That looked good going in. No doubt about that one. Here's the first bonus ball,
A
and
little full. Come on.
nearly picked up the split, broke up the split, I should say.
Yeah, it would have been nice if that fell forward into the 2-pin. 8 fill.
8 fill will give Brian the lead after 1. So Brian Fuller Jr. will go into the second string leading 113-110 over Dan Gauthier. We'll be back with the second string on Classic Candlepins first round action right after this timeout. Welcome back to Classic Candlepins, the start of the second string, and our higher seed always starts the middle string. Today that's Brian Fuller Jr. He threw a 113 in the first string on the strength of a strike 8 to conclude it. And he'll be looking at the Caleri once again.
A piece of wood in the back by the 8-pin. Might give him a little help. Not when everything flies over it.
Yes.
Speaking of that strike 8, Kyle, that's why the last 2 boxes are always ever so important. You really
Absolutely
can't give
huge.
up.
Especially when you might not be near what you're normally accustomed to in terms of your average.
Yes,
So
exactly.
there's got to be some kind of momentum that you build and confidence going into the next string that you can get it on a roll. As Brian has the 5, 6, and 10.
And even building on that, too, the importance of pinning through the course of the string, too, because
course.
especially where it's a 3-string match, even if you lose the first string, if you can keep yourself close, you can keep yourself in with a chance to come back later on.
And if you look at the first string, both bowlers marked almost identically
Yes.
in terms of boxes.
Yes.
So 19 after 2 for Brian. And our 5th seed, Dan Gauthier, is on lane 7 to start his second string. Through 110 in the first. Nice looking ball. And he'll have the 6-10.
Got some double wood up front. If he goes right at the 6, he should be fine, but
Don't want to catch the cap on the left side because it might turn it around. I think.
exactly. Might spin it right off. Yeah, you got it.
Not an issue is spare in the first.
Push it straight back, which is good. That's what you need to do.
One of the interesting things I think that Dan wrote down that he told us is that he bowled 5 strings with a broken hand and hit 570.
It's wonderful.
And he fills his spare with 3.
When was that?
He didn't say what year it was.
Wow.
Was it
that's
his
impressive.
bowling hand that was broken?
That's what he said, yes. Well, I would think.
I suppose that's a good question, Scott.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do like the old hockey thing. Just tape it right up and
There you
shove
go.
it back in the glove and make it happen.
Right.
When duty calls.
Yes, sir.
Still 3 pins standing for Dan. And he did not like that 3rd ball there. That'll be something good to edit in post-production. I'll just raise the...
Yeah, we want to hear that grunt from Shu again. That's,
Correct, yes. This is Brian Fuller Jr.
It'd be kind of like the NFL sounds of the game.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, you could have some fun with it too. Do it in slow motion and change the pitch of it. And
Yeah, it'd be like Irby.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Of course.
Sound like the almighty Sarlacc. You know?
yes.
Your hate has made you powerful. Still 2 pins standing.
Nice 9. Good pinning. Don't let any of them get away. Grab as many as you possibly can.
Yes, I always maintain that pinning is perhaps the most important element of every game.
Big hit for Brian and the 9 pin.
It also seems to be like one of the lost arts almost in candlepin bowling.
Yes.
Too. Nice
Spare it up.
Which is interesting because Candlepin bowling is one of the 2 versions of bowling, or I don't know about 5, that you have that third ball to take
Absolutely.
advantage of.
Dan punched out, but got a little bit of a break here as he's looking at 1, 2, 7, 8, and 10.
Nice bid, just a little too full.
Nearly everything, but a 9 box. As Dan does a little housekeeping here, we have the electronic scoreboard that Scott developed for our show. If you watched our last ladder on the Classic Candlepins YouTube page, the
Another
same
grunt.
reaction
Yes.
on the Woolworth, or watch it on Amesbury Access. You can see the familiar, a familiar sight, I suppose, but this is electronic as opposed to the handwritten.
The retro styling.
Exactly. Very well put.
Paying a little homage to classic candlepin bowling.
Yes.
Scott, I can't tell you how happy I am to finally have a scoreboard that calculates for us.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
You know, it's been years in the making on my end. And I actually never made anything, so congratulations to you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was a great challenge trying to do it because Kyle and I had been talking about the show and what could we do to sort of soup it up a little bit more. And Brian almost getting at that wood sort of stopped it though. But yeah, something to sort of give it a nice new look. And then I figured, hey, it was a hard enough time trying to run the show up here. We don't have to do math at the same time.
Yes, that's.
And we have
as
those
we all know,
wonderful
that's very difficult
computers
for
that
me.
can do it.
So a 10 box will put Brian at 54.
Nice
And a
ball.
strike.
That was a beautiful ball going right in. That's a hammer.
A no-doubter from our number 4 seed. And Dan responds with a big 9-pin drop. He'll shoot at the 10-pin.
Big pin right here. They keep it close.
No.
Oh. You hate when that happens.
Yeah, just miss it. You know,
Just slides right off the lane.
single pins are very intimidating.
Yep.
Well, plus for a righty.
The 10 pin, yes.
Yes.
Right.
But you know, I always try and teach the kids whenever I get a chance to teach kids that single pins are actually easier because if you put the width of the ball on either side of the
Yes.
pin, you have an 11-inch target to shoot at. And
Another
ball.
big hit from Dan Gauthier. He's looking at 4-8.
And unlike trying to hit a strike where you've got little tiny target to try and hit it anywhere in that 11-inch range, you've got that pin. Nice spare to keep it close.
And as we all know, just because you hit your strike target doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go.
Absolutely.
As is the way in Candlepin bowling.
First bonus ball. And 4 horsemen right. 6 in the first one. A 9-pin advantage going into least the box is completed anyway, and he
just pulled it left just a little bit.
yes.
Nice 10.
Look at frustration etched on the face of Brian here as he crosses over to lane 6 for box number 8.
Back at the head pin again on 6. He's got to shake those off and just come right back. He certainly knows how to play the game.
Not always easy to do.
No.
Nice
Yes.
shot.
Back in business.
Brian's third mark of the second string. He's picked up a little rhythm. Actually, Dan has as well. As he's filling his spare in the 6th. Light hit, and
Come on.
have a single pin to look at.
There you go. A bit of late action there. Work up the split nicely. An easy shot right there at the 7 and a little guide going into it.
Yes.
He's
There
all
it is.
over it.
Things are starting to heat up here.
Yes, sir.
Very close match here. And Dan's a little disappointed that time.
But no grunt.
No grunt, but he dropped it.
It was a grunt-free bad ball.
Yes. Things are even so far in the second string, but Brian still has his 3-pin advantage.
Nice
and
bid.
a nice bid as he went outside that time, but the corners are still full.
He wants at least one here. 2 would be nice, but take 1.
Well, I think, we've been talking about pinning this match.
Nice!
For attack.
What a shot!
That's
A
one
little
of the
check
things-
mark on that one.
Yes. Well, that's one of the things we talk about in our game reset segment is that, when maybe you're not, you don't have all the marks in the world, but when you're pinning, you're not leaving a lot of pins on the deck.
Absolutely.
My goodness.
Well,
A 6 fill, it looked better than that.
and the bad news is the 6-pin.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
I think he knew that when he released it.
Yep.
Right. He held
Wasn't
on
happy
to
with
it
that one. Yeah.
too long that time.
$8.
An $8. Brian's at 104. And like he did in the first string, he's going to want to leave one hanging, as they say. And he's got a great opportunity as
Ooh,
he'll
little
have the
late
single
stuff.
pin. The 4-pin, excuse me.
Yes,
How am I
4-pin.
looking?
That's in the mirror universe.
Yes.
Nice spare. Dan's chomping at the bit to get
He's
back up.
so eager to
I know.
Yes.
get
I
back
can't
up
say
there.
as I blame him.
Yes.
Yeah, if you don't let him fill, he can't hurt you if he can't fill it.
114 plus this bonus. And
All right.
a 7 will
Nice finish.
put him at 121 and a 234 for 2 for Brian Fuller Jr. Dan is back up to conclude the middle string. Legally this time,
Yes.
as he has the Caleri to shoot at. Full horseman left plus the 9-pin.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, Kyle.
I'm just not the person for that job.
Nice 10.
So Dan has 100 going into the 10th.
Wants to put something right here. Big box here.
And
Yeah, nice place for that.
very nearly a strike.
Ooh, I don't like that wood
Kingpin.
way up so high, though, right up on the lip.
It's not very friendly to him.
No.
Right hand side maybe, and get it to maybe turn into it.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of tricky with the lip there, you know. It's kind of like shooting at a cap. You kind of almost wonder if you go left side of the ball, hop over it. He went right. Yeah, it spun right around. That's tough when it's up on that lip there.
That's very frustrating.
Dan will be open in the 10th.
He's got his stick there. Keeping it close, pinning well.
Pinning very well. Three consecutive 10s.
So Brian Fuller Jr. going into the third string will have a 14-pin lead, 234 to 220 with Dan Gauthier. We'll return with the third and final string of our first round matchup on Classic Candlepins right after this timeout. Welcome back to the third and could be the final string. Of course, we never know with overtime being in our last leg.
Yes,
that's true.
We've seen that before.
With our fourth seed. Here's Dan Gauthier, who's the fifth seed.
Nice way to
Starts it off
start.
with a strike.
Well, you start off the third string with a 14-pin disadvantage. This is a good place to get started. A good way to do it, too.
And Kyle, speaking of that overtime, it was our very own bowler of this match, Brian Fuller, who was involved in that.
Correct. Very nearly a double.
I like that wood, though.
The 5-7.
He's definitely going to want to be on the right side of that 5-pin.
I would almost try to catch the wood first. It might snap the 5 across.
That's his best bet.
He got the 5-pin before the wood.
But
Good
he
try,
does
though.
fill the strike with 9.
That's 10. Keep the pinning going.
29 out of the gate.
Put the pressure back on Brian again.
Just missed the head pin that time and got a break. He's looking at the 1-3.
Off the sidewall.
That's exactly how he played it.
Playing it the hard way.
Yes.
Always looks better when you play it off the sidewall.
Yeah, very fancy shot.
Right.
Yes.
When his dad went against Tom O'Brien on 5, I think he ran 5 or 6 in a row, and I think in the middle of that stretch, he made the 1-3 exactly like that. He fills his spare with 6 and is looking at 1, 4, 7, and 10.
Dan Gauthier's picked up 3 on that first box exchange.
Nice bid, but the corners are still full.
Hard to believe with that ball, none of the wood was touched. So not a factor.
Nice shot for a 10.
Ooh, put a check mark next to that one, too. That was a beauty.
11 is the lead for Fuller Jr. as Dan is back up on lane 7. Third box, third string.
And pin.
And he's got a single to look at, and let's see where the wood settles down, but I think he'll have a clear shot at it.
Yeah,
This
he
is
can
the
see
8-pin.
that. He can see that.
Oh.
Just got away from him. He pulled it a little left and nice 10.
On the single. You know, the another thing as well is why we do that game reset is, you know, checking the head pin hits. So far to start this third string, we have
3 in a row.
right.
3 in a row. If you hit the head pin more often you're going to win. And if you're not hitting the head pin, it's not going to work out so well, usually. Back on it again.
Light hit carries 5 this time. He's got, again, the diamond right plus the 10.
Or if Rich were here, it would be the check mark plus the 9.
Well, he doesn't get paid for those.
Well, I know.
Nice
Nice
shot.
spare.
Second mark of the third string.
It's a great shot.
Yes. Not easy to convert.
I think Dan knows what's up here. I think he knows he needs to kind of keep Keep pinning, keep marking.
And of course, Brian's in the situation now where if he had some defense, that would be good, but there's no defense in this game. So
that's absolutely true.
His best defense is a good offense. And
the 10 pin doesn't go.
It's all over.
There's an example of that pinning as through 7 boxes. Our bowlers are perfect so far in this third string.
There's your head.
Brian has a strike.
Way to put it right back in there and stay up there. With that 11-pin lead, and he's going to have to maintain it because Danny's getting hot.
This is a big ball.
This is a huge ball right here.
Strike on spare wouldn't be too bad.
Be quite good.
Yes.
Pin again.
Looks good. They're
okay.
Looks like the mixing action was going to be.
I like it though. He's got that piece of wood right in behind the 3-pin up against the 6, and I think it's covering the 9 too.
Yeah, I think
so
that's
he's
only
got
going to
just
help
object
him,
pin.
Right.
Nice shot.
Yes, sir. It's right there. 6 and another. Dan Gauthier keeping the pressure right on again. Couldn't ask for a better third string here.
65 for Dan plus this bonus ball. And he held on to it a little too long and he knew it.
It's all right. Still makeable.
Still a good half.
Yeah, it's an
67
excellent half.
You know.
Catch the outside of that head pin. See what happens.
Inside that time, the corners are full.
Yep.
And an 8 box will put Dan at 75. Brian is up on lane 7. Here's the first bonus ball. And he has a split.
A little full there, but I like the wood. He's got some possibilities with it. It's a little bit easier.
3, 4, 6, and 7. Wow. That wood did not react the way that I thought it would. I thought it would slide over instead of going straight up. So he fills his strike with 8. He puts 9 in the box. And his lead overall is 10.
Yeah, he's chipping away at it. Just hope he can, for his sake, that he doesn't run out of score sheet first.
Another big hit, and Brian has the 7 pin. That's big because it was opposite and open for Dan. Back up on lane 7.
And you know he's thinking marks right now.
Oh,
You
yes.
betcha.
And the punch out this time. Wow, went outside that time and was a little thin. He still has 4 pins standing, but you got to grab a bunch.
Really goes to exemplify how important that first ball is in any box. You get a bad first ball and it really makes your box much, much tougher to complete and do anything good with it.
82 after 7 for Dan, and that's a great point. We just talked about it earlier about being on the head pin and that it's a lot harder. I think even psychologically knowing that you have to work making the best out of your box, and that wood's going to roll into the pit, and we have a split 4, 6, and 10. not too much you can do with that shot, especially with no lumber helping you.
Yeah, the only thing you can hope for is something comes off the sidewall and rolls across the plate. I wouldn't want to put money on a shot like that.
This is a big bonus ball for Brian Fuller Jr. He's at 73 plus a ball here.
And he's up against 2 opens.
Right. Opportunity to create a little distance. And he fills his spare with 8 as he's got 7-9. 3 pins, or 3 pieces of wood, I should say, on the deck.
Good news, bad news.
Nice shot.
Good news is it's makeable. Great shot for Brian.
His third mark of the fourth mark of the third string.
Yes.
Check that, as they say in the industry. Bonus.
Off the head pin, but he got lucky.
Yes, he did. 1, 2, 8, and 10. Not this time. The lead in completed boxes grows to 29 here. And a 9 box puts Brian at 106. So Dan gains a pin and count, but with 2 boxes left, you have to be thinking
Double.
strikeout.
Yes.
Dan's going to have to put on a clinic here right now. He needs it. And he can. He's very capable.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. You don't make it on TV as much as he has without leading it.
Absolutely. Bounced it on the line, but he got a good break out of it.
I'll never forget the show that he put on against John Zappi on the Comcast show, where they both threw, I think, a 170 string. Unbelievable. So Dan has it in him.
Use the wood and carries it.
He's going to need himself a strike here, though, to
Yes.
keep making ground.
Got to keep going. That looks good, but he's got 7-8.
Tough break. Looked really good going in.
7 head pin hits to my unofficial calculation.
I would say 8.
Oof.
I'll go 8.
I trust you.
Okay.
Yes.
At least somebody does.
Oh,
Dan
that's where
putting
it
on the
was.
clinic right there. What a great way to end.
That's where it was. 120 and a 340 for Dan Gauthier. Brian Fuller Jr. is at 340 right now, but he has 2 more boxes to go. And he's full.
Fuller is full.
Yes, I was just going to say that, but you
took your thunder.
that you did.
Gotta be careful that the guest guy isn't supposed to take the host's thunder.
That's all right. You have the thunder, I have the rain.
Nice
10
10.
bucks.
Well, what do I have?
You've got all the good looks there, buddy.
Oh,
You are the frank face. There is no one else who can make that claim.
I suppose that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Brian has another split. 3, 4, and 6. And
Yeah, come on.
wow.
Would you look at that?
Oh, it's a good thing that the icing's already on the cake here, because that would not be a way to lose. Nice 10.
Pair of 10s to conclude the third string for Brian Fuller Jr., and he moves on to the second round match next week. Defeats Dan Gauthier 360 to 340. We'll be back to talk to our bowlers right after this timeout. Welcome back to the conclusion of Classic Candlepins, our first round matchup for the 5th ladder series of the season. Kyle Bruce back with the legendary Frank Face, and here with our 5th seed Dan Gauthier. Dan, I think this was an exhibition of making the adjustments throughout the match. First couple strings, you were trying to find your way, and then seemed like the
second half of the first and second string, you really started to find your fitting, and then the third string, outside of a couple field balls that kind of got away from you, I thought you bowled very well.
Yeah, he definitely called it. I think there were 2 points where I made adjustments. One was after 6 boxes where I was just very uncomfortable through 6. And that got a little better, and then another one at about halfway through the second string. And things were working out. Usually I would have normally rooted for a 1-string match against Brian, but as I was starting to get better, I was hoping it would be 5 strings. Hey, Brian bowled great, though.
Well, I thought you did too. There are a couple bad breaks when you have the 7-8 to look at the very end of the match. But I know, Frank, you have a couple of very important questions. I know.
Yes. Dan, I think what it came down to was, your fills kind of killed you. You were throwing a good ball, but, speaking of what Kyle was talking about, we talked about very briefly, you'll hear in the playback, making adjustments. And, you're no stranger to that. We've seen you do that against John Zappi on the Comcast show. Just fantastic. What can you say about it?
Yeah, it's a good point. That's probably, if I have to write down my favorite match I ever had, even though I lost, but some big adjustments, and if you go, 3-12 for 2 strings, you feel good about it even when you lose. I don't feel awful about this because I had a bad week of bowling, but I do like the fact that I was in the middle of a 2-year slump, and the last 4 months have actually been really good. So if I throw out one night this week, I can live with this. Obviously, you want to do better. I wanted to pick up that single when I missed with that wood to the left of it.
Sure,
it was a big miss. Other than that, get back on, not throw 2 half-wisters, right?
Right, of course. But anyhow, it's good to see you back bowling on TV. So
thanks. I never seem to have a problem making it on the show. It's just winning that I'll have to work on.
That is the challenge.
Well, Dan, I want to thank you for bowling, and I also want to thank you for all the work you've done for Candlepins for Kids. And,
absolutely.
I just think that's outstanding. So thank you very much.
Guys.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys.
That's Dan Gauthier, everybody. And we're going to be talking to our 4th seed, Brian Fuller, the winner of our first-round matchup.
Congratulations, Brian.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Welcome back. It's good to see you're very excited here. You were doing the Daniel Bryan yes thing earlier, for what I don't know why. But I saw that, again, we talked to Dan about making adjustments, and it seemed like there was some points in the match where there was some timing issues, but you seemed to make that adjustment and make the best of it and came away with a victory.
Yeah, I tried to slow my steps down a little bit. I think I was going too fast and missing the head pin, but yeah.
And you're using new balls this week, although they're not really new. They're just new old ones, and the solid white Paramounts. Do you think that has anything to do with your victory?
No, but I like them though.
Oh, well, that's good.
I think it's just pure confidence, Kyle.
Yes, something you have a lot of.
Some days.
Right. Very good. Well,
congratulations, Brian.
Yes, congratulations. And next week we'll see Brian Fuller Jr. against Chris Winiarz for our entire crew and the incredible Frank Face. I'm Kyle Bruce. We'll see you next week on Classic Candlepins. Our first round is completed, and we see Brian Fuller Jr., who did what he could and did enough to get by Dan Gauthier. He wins 360 to 340. I'm Kyle Bruce, once again back with the iconic Frank Face. And Frank, as we take a look and break down the statistics that show how Brian got this 20-pin victory, the biggest thing that jumps off the page is that maybe they didn't hit the head pin as much as they normally do. With I think Brian was right at 50%, and Dan was at around 48. That with Brian having the 7 splits and Dan having 4, even though they left roughly the same number of pins, the pinning was a little bit better, and that proved the difference.
Right, and I've said it time and again, Kyle, this is a game of pinning. Considering, like you said, Brian had more splits, but he had more pins to negotiate in terms of picking up the difference makers. Additionally, there are 3 single pin spare attempts from Brian Fuller. He made all 3 of them. Shu had 4 attempts, made only 1 of them. Your fill ball is going to make a difference also, but that's your 20-pin victory right there for Fuller.
Right. I mean, you have another mark or two, and that change of momentum really changes the match.
Right. Especially
with the difference only being 20 pins. So next week we're going to see Brian Fuller Jr. moving on to face Chris Winiarz, who was our number 3 seed, only by a pin, who threw 580. And before we say goodbye, one thing I want to make sure that I do is talk a little bit about how the Candlepin bowling community is in mourning after the passing of one of the great all-time legends in Mike Sargent. Mike still holds a couple of records that are recognized by the ICBA. He was a dominant in the 70s and the 80s. He was Pro Bowler of the Year. His 228 and the team record that he held with Pilgrim, with Peter Flynn, Joe Ashline, Gary Carrington, and Wally Basilinski of 803 still stands. He was one of the best. He was 67 years old, and he was awesome. So our condolences from the entire Classic Candlepins family goes out to the Sargent family. And next week, we look forward again to watching Chris Winiars, who is our third seed, the Harry Potter lookalike, to face Brian Fuller Jr. For our entire crew here and the iconic, incredible Frank Face, I'm Kyle Bruce. We'll see you next week on Classic Candlepins.